Cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expediency asks the question, is it politic? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? And there comes a time when one must take a position that is neither safe, nor politic, nor popular, but he must do it because conscience tells him it is right.
Every time our country stands in the path of danger, an instinct seems to summon her finest first, those who truly understand her. When freedom shivers in the cold shadow of true peril, it's always the patriots who first hear the call. When loss of liberty is looming, as it is now, the siren sounds first in the hearts of freedom's vanguard.
Fighting for humanity and against globalism, one mind at a time. It's the Freedom Link with Joe Joseph.
Well, hello, everybody. The Freedom Link's here, and it's been a little while, but we're back. And holy shit, what has happened to the world? Scotty, I mean, this is fucking nuts. It's nuts. And I'll tell you this. I always thought that it would be crazy. And you always say, well, you know, wow, it's freaking nuts. I remember when Bush was elected and it was Clinton, right? I can't get any worse than Clinton. And then Bush comes along, 8 years of that, and Darth Cheney and everything else. And then there's Chairman Obama, and he comes around and holy crap, it can't get any worse than Obama. Yeah. So Trump comes along, there's 4 years of Trump. Say what you will about him.
A little bit of a reprieve, at least.
A little bit of a reprieve, but certainly the powers that shouldn't be certainly went to work on trying to divide everybody, and they did, and they're pretty successful at doing that. Now, people are very militant, and they're stuck in their echo chambers, and that no one talks to each other anymore from across the way. And if they do, you know, it's typically done online because if you have a job, you go to work, you do your stuff. You're either at a really woke ass company or, and thank God for me, I have to work my ass off. But at least the company I belong to now and I work for is a small business, and it's like being transported back into the 1970s. I mean, it is as non-woke, non-like compliant, non-everything as humanly possible. It is hands down well worth the absolute trouble and BS associated with being with a small business and, you know, not having resources and not being able to, upgrade things when you should have to. And you got to think out of the box, and the fix is never easy. But man, I mean, at least I'm not working with a furry. Or, dude, I'm telling you, let me tell you something.
You're right.
I worked for Advanced Auto for a very limited amount of time. That was hands down. I mean, I know you guys have been seeing a lot of the things with John Deere and Harley Davidson and everybody. Coca-Cola was a woke company. Ain't nobody, no company, Google, Facebook, nowhere near as woke as Advanced Auto. Advanced Auto
crazy.
has hands down the wokest company I have ever seen, where you can have you can be a furry, go to work there. Hey, I mean, giant rainbows. You can't. I had to change the bathroom signs. That was kind of one of the last straws for me. Is like, okay, look, I respect everybody and and what you do with your time, but you got to respect other people too. And you have to understand that if you were born a male and now you're a female, whether or not whatever your beliefs are, you have to also respect other people's beliefs or feelings. And that kind of crap just drove me nuts, man. And it was one thing after another after another. They always had celebrations of diversity and all this crap. And Oh man, it was just absolute
Yeah,
trash. I just
I did not expect that from Advanced
Oh,
Auto
dude,
Parts.
it's terrible. It is terrible. And guess what? Out of all the parts companies, the major ones like AutoZone, O'Reilly's, the big ones, right? They are in the tank because, like you say, go woke or go broke, and they're not the only
Right.
company.
No, no, no. And right before the show, I had you look at the stock, the stocks for a major gaming company, major gaming publisher, Ubisoft.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've lost pretty much like 80% of their stock value.
Mm.
Because of this, this whole woke agenda thing has infested all areas of society. Right? I mean, we saw it, creep into the movie industry. We got all
Oh,
these woke
yeah.
movies coming out from Disney
Which
and
are all
all of this,
trash and they perform
yeah,
terribly.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
all trash and you see the repercussions of this now. People are rejecting this. They're tired of it. They're tired of being lectured to. They're tired of being talked down to. They're tired of being
Goes
told what
against the
to think.
DNA, dude.
Right. And look, let's be honest. When people go to watch a movie or play a video game, they're doing that to escape reality. They don't want to be reminded of the crap that they have to deal with on a daily basis, or these
Right.
social issues or politics and stuff being injected into their entertainment. You're there to just entertain people. Do your job and entertain us. It's not your job
It's true.
to lecture. Right. I mean, you're like same with the Ubisoft and the entire game industry is collapsing right now, and people out there are probably like, well, it's just games. What's the big deal? It's just kids playing games. No, it's not just kids playing games anymore. This isn't the 1980s with Nintendo. The game industry is just as big, if not bigger, than the
Oh
movie
yeah, big
industry.
time.
We're talking about
Probably a lot more influence too.
billions and billions of dollars of revenue. And when you look at it on an economic scale, I mean, if you look at the gaming industry in China and in the East, it's crazy. And so right now here in the West, our Western gaming companies, the big ones, the ones, you got like EA, Ubisoft, you've got like Activision, Blizzard, uh, you know, uh, yeah,
Microsoft.
and
Microsoft just bought
Microsoft, yeah,
Blizzard, right?
Microsoft just bought Activision and
Yeah.
Blizzard and all of that. Well, right now there's like a collapse happening in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
And it's not just because of the woke stuff, but the woke stuff is a huge component of it.
Well, the
And
other component too, and this is huge, just because this tells you,
yeah,
this kind of gives you an idea of where the economy is. So,
right.
so game developers saw that, holy crap, people don't have $59 to spend on a video game, or 69 or
Mm-mm.
79 or whatever, and the costs have gone up and up and up and up. So they went to the Microsoft model. And they said, okay, well, we're going to give you the game for free, and you're going to play it, and you're going to be with your buddies and your friends. And then I got you 99 cents to get this power up package, or
Yeah,
$1.99 or
the free to
$2.99 here. And
play.
they paid,
Yeah,
yep,
the free to play battle pass model that these game
yep,
companies shifted to,
yeah,
where instead of buying the game, you either get it for free, they go to the
hmm
free to play model, and then they nickel and dime you with in-game purchases and battle passes and things like that. And that was directly taken from a model that was implemented by Asian game developers, you
yeah.
know, and mobile games. Mobile games are the ones
Mobile
that really
games,
started it.
they really
Yeah,
started that. Yeah,
yeah,
right.
and a lot of people don't realize, out of all these companies like Activision, Blizzard, you know, EA, and all of that stuff, what company actually blows all of them out of the water, and they're actually part of the conglomerate that Microsoft bought it? King Games, the company that makes Candy Crush.
Oh, right.
They
Yeah, they
are
blow everybody away.
they are the main revenue maker
Right.
for Activ. Well, it's they call it ABK, Activision Blizzard King, because they're
it's
all
all gotcha.
kind of together.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and yeah, gotcha. And you got the gotcha games like Genshin Impact and Zenless Zone Zero and all of that.
I'm playing one right now. Now, it's not the worst one. So
that's fine.
You know,
hey, there's nothing wrong with playing gotcha games.
No, but
no.
But they'll get you. I mean, they will get you if you're not careful.
And people don't realize the amount of revenue and how much this economy actually, moves in cash and whatnot. And like I said, it's not just kids playing these games anymore. I mean, you got a lot of adults that play games.
Dude,
you got a lot of adults that play.
I tell you what, right now I'm playing Neverwinter, which is a Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards of the Coast. And even they've gone to the gotcha model, which, okay, whatever. Because actually for somebody that like me, I can't plunk down $80 on a cartridge or even a new game system. I mean, it's great. I got a computer.
It's targeted for the casual. It's targeted for the casual player that doesn't have, a lot of revenue to, just throw out, or whatever. But maybe a buck here, a buck there, whatever. But you know what? You got, a million or so people throwing out a buck here, a buck there.
Look at all the people in the world. Look at all the people in the world that figured out how much time was wasted sitting on the can. Look at this. Now I can play Candy Crush. Dude, when Candy Crush got me years and years ago, it was like, oh, crap, I'm out of turns, but I'm not off the can yet. Shit. All right. Boop. $1. All right. I got
and I tell a lot of these older people, the quote unquote boomers, if you will, that are like, why are you kids, are you young, always playing on those darn video games? I'm like, hey, well, look, I see you sitting there playing your little puzzle game on your phone,
That's
and whatnot.
Scrabble.
It's like, who's addicted to video games? You got to look at it in perspective, right? And
That's
so,
well, we're a culture of convenience. We're a culture of convenience.
Right.
What better way to spend your time? You're just sitting around. You used to spend your time reading Reader's Digest. Well, guess what? Now you don't have to do that. Now it's a diverse, your smartphone, palm of your hand, it's a little computer. What can I do with all this time I've found?
It was very interesting because I was watching a stream yesterday, and a guy brought up a really good point. He talked about the lockdowns, right? When COVID hit and everyone got locked down. In that 2-year span, I think, and I would have to say I would agree. In that 2-year span, I think we accelerated, we accelerated 10 years of what should have taken 10 years, I think took 2 years because of the lockdowns. As far as people who wouldn't have been online being online. You know what I mean? I almost think that we're almost at like a saturation point to where everybody who's going to be online is going to be online, and the people who aren't online are either choosing not to be online or just won't be online for whatever reason. You know what I mean? Like we've hit a saturation point.
No different than Walgreens and CVS and all of these. Well, I mean, that's a great. This model has kind of. There's too much, and
unless you're talking about maybe like certain areas of on the African continent or something that still just don't have that access. I think globally we have hit a saturation point of if you're going to be online, you're online.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're saturated now. Because we got CDC.
Yeah, I don't think we hit that saturation point before COVID, but because of the forced,
we're saturated now.
We are saturated. What up, Mr. Webb?
What's going on, gentlemen?
Well, I see you got like Kentucky internet right now. You got the Helene internet going on.
Oh, is it bad?
Oh man, talk about like delay. So just remember, you're delayed by like 3 seconds.
Oh, okay.
4 seconds.
That'll work. That'll work out for me. I'll just count it off. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there you go. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about y'all?
Yeah, we're hanging in there. No, tonight. So it's been a little while and we're back on the air. And so we kind of doing a recap of some of the things that we've seen in the last 4 weeks, which is a whole hell of a lot. And so we're talking about the video games market, how it's tanked because of going woke and all that. There's another big threat coming on up. So September 30th. September 30th is a day that the longshoremen are supposed to go on strike from the East Coast all the way from Maine down to Houston and the Gulf. And the worry or the concern is that 60% of the imports coming into the United States go through those ports. 40% are West Coast, but when you take in the Gulf and the East Coast, that's 60% of the imports that come in. So you already have manufacturers and retailers telling their customers, like, got to get your car fixed. Do it before September 30th, because a lot of the parts that we get are imported from other countries. Raw materials, a lot of the things that manufacturers use to make finished goods are imported. So, with that said, we have a president that's very pro union, and people are not very confident that he's going to do what Reagan did with the air traffic controllers and end the strike so it doesn't devastate the economy and also put a lot of people at a disadvantage, because not only on the economic side is that bad, but then about supply and demand, and when supply is low on certain things, the prices start to go up big time, and that of course is going to hurt people when they're already hurting. It's like kicking you when you're down. So there is, there's a trade publication called Freight Waves that kind of goes through the industry and kind of gives you the latest news about the industry. It's good to kind of keep a close eye on freight and how goods are moved around the world, and especially what they're charging, because that can give you an idea how much you're being gouged on the end. But they're reporting that the port employers now, so these are the owners and operators of the ports themselves, are seeking an injunction against the longshoremen union, because if they go on strike and they shut down all these ports, you're looking at, I want to say it's something along the lines of $6 billion a day, and it's in the trillions when you talk about the total effect on things over a long period of time. But for every day they're shut down, it takes them 6 days to recover. And that, of course, is going to have a huge effect and impact on the economy. And not to mention,
Are they going to be going from the? They're shutting it down on the East Coast, right? Is that what they're doing?
East
So
Coast
everything's
and then
going
the
to have
Gulf
to
of
go.
Mexico.
Right. So everything's going to have to go and come in through on the
The West
West
Coast.
Coast and then be shipped through, or how's that going to work?
They don't know. They don't know. And the problem is because you can't do that. Because guess what? There's another problem. See, Panama is having an issue right now with drought. And because, and I have a theory on this, but it's serious tinfoil hattery. And I don't know if you guys can take it. But
throw it out there. I can take it.
There's been a hell of a lot of cloud seeding going on. From Saudi Arabia to India, from India to China. They're all cloud seeding like crazy.
Yeah.
And when you take water and you appropriate it in one place, you're taking it from another. And you're also causing a lot of inconsistency with the weather. So Panama is having a historic drought to the point where it's restricting a lot of access to the Panama Canal. And it's forcing a lot of people to go around South America. And if anybody...
Have you heard... Have you heard of this potential project that Mexico might be investing in to compete with the Panama Canal, and that they might be cutting their own canal through the southern part of Mexico? Yeah, you might have to look that up or something. I thought I've been seeing some stuff about it, but wow. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Wow.
And if that's the case, that would be kind of a game changer, I would say.
I would have to say,
at least for Mexico.
I would have to say, however, I mean, have to see. Well, I don't really give a crap how it's done. Anything that brings about competition is good for
Right.
anybody, right? So the more paths that you have to get through there, and the more competition there is, the better off you're going to be in the long run. It's when competition is stifled, then you got a problem. Let's give you an example of how that equates to the main economy, right? And here is the big issue that everybody's going to the polls for, thinking that there's going to be a solution when there ain't no going to be a solution. It just, you're going to have the lesser of two evils going against each other and doing their thing. It's always going to be that way. And even if you have a man of honor going in there and doing his thing, you're going to see what happens when he gets in there. If they don't kill him first, it's going to end up being a slog because you're not going to have an easy road ahead. They're going to attack every which way. They're going to fight you. They're going to sue you. They're going to do whatever they can, pull out whatever knives, rusty and otherwise, to go and stick you in the back and in the front and anywhere else they can stick it. So that's the way we know it's going to work. So anybody looking for a savior come this election cycle, you're sorely mistaken. The only savior is coming from up there. And that's it. Outside of that, it's who's going to kick the can down the road before you see a stunning collapse. I don't think that either candidate is going to be able to avoid what's coming down the pipe. What's coming down the pipe. I
No,
just
no,
don't.
no, no. The
I think the
when it
damage is
goes
done.
down, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter who's in office at the
Right.
time. It's gonna happen regardless, right? Whether an R
Right.
or a D is up there.
Doesn't matter one bit.
It doesn't matter because you just can't stop the reality
You've had 4 years
yeah.
of an example of what happens when that happens, right? Holy
Right.
shit. We beat the globalists. Holy crap. Woo! We got a guy in there. Yeah, whoo. And then what happened? Nothing. Tax goods. That's about it. But really, anything of huge significance, nothing really swung the pendulum to the other side. We were taking on debt like a SOB. That didn't change. Where the debt's out of control still, only it's going to people that really shouldn't be getting the assistance right now, if you think about it. That right now has been a very polarizing thing, and I want to say this, and I'll get your guys' thoughts on this too. All right. This country is a country of immigrants. The difference is from today to when we became a powerhouse industrialized nation on the backs of immigrants was the immigrants came in and they went to work. There was no government handouts. There was no FICA taxes. There was no workers' comp.
Right.
There was nothing there, right? So it was basically survival of the fittest, and it was on your own sweat and your own empowering yourself, lifting you up by your own bootstraps, going to work, getting yourself educated, networking, doing all that. It was natural. It was organic. There was no such thing as citizenship. And that's why, when I hear these things and people fighting against immigrants and things like that, they used to can't come over in the boats and flood population centers to the point where you would have huge, huge, huge backlash from the natives or the ones that have been here and established themselves. And it's nothing. Yeah, Gangs of New York, great movie. But let's be honest, this is not a new thing. The biggest problem is taxpayers are paying for their assimilation when in fact they're not really assimilating. Not all of them.
Right.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example of where it works. Okay. Again, I work for a small business that is 80% not non-US citizen. Really. Everybody there has paperwork. They have to in order to be a legal worker. But 80% of them aren't citizens. They're not. They work their ass off and they do it for minimum wage, So that's kind of what you're up against is you have a
And
faction,
also,
you have
and
established.
and
Go ahead.
and let's be honest.
Yep.
A lot of that paperwork isn't legit. So how
Doesn't
how
have
do
to
you
be.
how do you
So
right
get this. Get
so
this.
how do you
For an employer,
really know what the true number is?
That's not your
Right.
obligation as an employer. You're as
Right.
an employer, all you're worried about. This is how they do it. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the
Yeah,
path
I mean,
because I was
it's just,
blown.
do
I
they
was
have the
floored.
paperwork? Yeah. Okay. Well,
I
then they're
was
good to
floored,
go.
dude. I was
Yeah.
absolutely floored how this works because we changed our we changed the way we do things based on finding this out. Because like I said, this company's not woke, so it's
Mm.
it's different. So here's how it goes, right? NGOs go and they establish these um, conga lines, if you will, up Central America to the United States southern border. And they have pit stops along the way that provide services, medical assistance, job assistance, preparation to go to work once you get to where your ultimate destination is. And then you hit the southern border and you're taken in and you're given a case number. And in most cases, you're let go to go where you need to go. Oftentimes, given a bus ticket or whatever to get where you have to go. And then you go to where you go. And typically, they're going to go to sanctuary states, sanctuary cities. I live in Massachusetts, one of the biggest sanctuary states as far as what they give you. A lot of people talk about New York City. Massachusetts is right there, right there.
Right.
So they get here. Where do they go? Well, they register with, from what I can see, a very limited number of temp companies, temp agencies. And this limited number of temp agencies are kind of they know that the credentials aren't there, but I guess regulatory agencies tend to look the other way for these select few agencies.
Interesting.
And so when we would go to look for labor, again, company being very limited resources, but they didn't want to hire anybody because the business model didn't show a lot of stability long term and didn't want to lay anybody off. Owner kind of felt like, I don't know, I kind of don't want, I need more labor, but I can't expand because I might have to lay them off. So what does he do? He goes to the temp agency, and the temp agency is just flooding him with cheap labor to the point where, holy moly, man, this is crazy. I mean, just we need 10 people show up and they work their ass off. Right. So the business model changed. And with that came kind of an evaluation of, okay, so how are we going to operate now? Because if we took them and made them permanent hires, well, we would save, with our head count, it was $800,000 a year, right to the bottom line, because we wouldn't be paying the surcharge for the temp agency, because they're going to charge a fee too. So basically, you're paying $15.50 an hour or whatever to these people, and but the temp agency's charging you $35, right? So, well, why can't we do that? So we start to convert them. Only problem is we couldn't because they didn't have the documentation. And so the question was, well, how in the hell did you guys get them going? How do you do that? And we get, ancient Chinese secret. We can't tell you that. Right?
Right.
So, but that's how they do it. So you get the temp agencies, these select temp agencies that go ahead and they funnel them out. Meanwhile, the ones that are well-meaning, and believe me, they're human beings, folks.
Right.
I mean, you got to understand they're human beings. So there's some that have a legitimate, most of them have legitimate purpose and want to be here. Some of them got released from prison or whatever, and they made their way up here. And we know there's plenty of those. But a lot of them are actually looking to better themselves and have a better
And
life.
a lot of them have been here for years.
For
And
years.
they've been paying Social Security.
Yep.
They're paying taxes.
Yep.
I mean, it's a big difference, I think, in this day from what we're seeing over the last 4 years of, I mean, what the people that have been coming out here, and I'm not saying all of them, of course not, but there's a lot of hardworking people just come out here to get jobs, they work, they pay Social Security that
Yep.
they're probably never going to be able to get back, when they retire. So they're putting into the system, and I mean, I know some that are here legally and they've been here for, 20 some years. And
Long
they've
time.
been
Right.
paying Social Security. They filed their taxes, on all of these things. It's just not here legally, or haven't gotten that citizenship, or anything like that.
And what's that? I mean, I'm gonna ask that question. What's that? What is that? That's the problem. What is that? Citizenship.
Well, I think people need to go through a process. We can't
do.
just roll over to no other country, do what we want
Right.
to, vote, do these things. But I like, the ones that are coming over now, they're taking advantage of the system. What, they're getting all these, $10,000 worth of food stamps or something like that. I mean, or whatever it is, all of
Whatever
this
it
money,
is.
extra money,
Mhm.
whatever the digit is. Pull it from the system and these things, and they're sitting around and they're actually bragging about it. A lot of them are bragging on videos and things of that nature
But see,
about how they
that's inappropriate
overheat.
in my humble opinion. That's
Right, but
inappropriate.
I do think there should
Yeah.
be a system that should be appropriate, and I think come across, do it correctly. I don't think
Yeah.
that a lot of these places, and some of these places that I have been to myself, that it is so horribly bad that they're being forced out or anything like that. I believe that they're hearing, hey, come on up. We're going to give you these money cards. We're going to do all this stuff for you.
Yeah.
And then they come up here, and next thing you
Yes.
know, they're living in a box or something. A lot of them, they're not all getting the motel rooms. They're going to run out of them spaces. So, I mean, I think there's got to be a system here that, no, we can't take care of ourselves,
Well,
really.
there has to be. There has to be.
Yeah.
Scotty, let me give you an example. Part of the reason why we're having an issue right now with housing, you have such an influx of people so fast. I mean, the banks are doing enough. They're going and paying cash, and people can't compete when they go to buy a house because the banks are intervening, paying cash for it, buying it, and then renting them out at exorbitant prices. And it's caused a market to go, but that's not the only thing. You've had millions of immigrants come into this country, and it hasn't been controlled. And because it hasn't been controlled, it's flooded the market with things. And then you've incentivized it. So you're giving them money to do it. So it's further pulling from the stock of available housing. And again,
Yes.
supply and demand. As supply is low, prices go up.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
so I mean, and look, it's like I've said before. I mean, the motivation for coming to this country is completely different than it was in the 1800s.
Sure.
A lot of those people were leaving their country and looking for a better opportunity in the United States. And like you said, there was no, safety net or
Nope.
welfare
was all
or
charity.
anything like
was
that,
charity.
right? And
Yeah.
these people knew that they were going to a foreign country and that they had to bust their ass and work and a lot of the motivation for the people coming up now, it's like, hey, there's a pot of gold over there, that you're going to be able to get on the when you cross that border, and look, it's actually terrible for them too, because they're being sold a lie, because like Ken said, they're being promised all this stuff, they're being promised all these that they're going to be taken care of, and that the system's going to take care of them when they get there, and that they're going to be housed and have money and all of this stuff. And
So
then
it's
where
a
they
lot of
end
them
up,
want to go back. A lot of them want to turn around and go back because
they end up sleeping. Yeah, they end up sleeping in a tent in front of a police station in Chicago, and
Ain't nothing
and
worse
all of
than
this
that.
stuff. And so, even to, for them, they came up here and they're like, hey, where's all the goodies I was promised? I thought this was gonna be, a gravy train up here, and no, it's not.
But they said it
And
on the billboard down there. It
yeah, it
said
said
"Come
it
to
on, yeah, right.
Massachusetts."
So,
Yeah, right.
so first of all, yeah, first of all, if you want to really stop a lot of this stuff, you got to just take away the incentive, take away,
We're not giving it.
if right,
It's the
if they
suits,
go,
it's the powers that shouldn't be. They're the ones playing
yeah,
stratego with everybody.
right, right, yeah, that you got to just take that away, take away the incentive, and then just that alone will make people go, well, I don't know if it's really going to be worth going up there, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to, to really be able to hack it once I get up there. And so that in itself will turn a lot of people away,
and stop all the drug cartels, the gangs,
right?
all this.
And
And
look,
these other countries also, not just the United States. We have a leadership problem for sure, but these other countries also. You know, remember Castro? He did the same thing when he took over Cuba. Released all the prisoners, put them on boats, sent them right on down to Florida. These types of things. That's what these countries are doing. I mean, it is a fact. We've seen it happen.
right.
And
They're responsible as well too,
and these
because
other
and they know.
like Mexico, they're just like, hey, just don't let them through. They're actually flying them from other places, flying them in. I mean, it's like a
Right.
lot of
They
these
know
other,
we're letting them in, so they just go, hey, just send them over there,
And we're not the only country dealing with it. I mean, Europe
right.
is being. You have
right.
African people from African nations coming up, flooding over into Europe. It's
a global
it's
agenda.
The control freaks.
It's a global
it's the
agenda.
Bilderbergers. The Bilderbergers are doing it.
It's a global agenda.
Always got some stuff going on.
Yep. And it's part of the Cloward and Piven strategy of overwhelming the system in order to cause it to collapse, faster. That way you can bring in your great reset or whatever they want to do,
They can have their world government that they have just been wanting so bad.
Well, I mean, you got to look at things, and it's looking like it's getting closer and closer and closer. And the question is, would that necessarily be a bad thing?
Oh, if you look at it,
depends on the type of global government we have, I guess, on who's controlling the global government.
It's like the hippie mindset, right? Like a hippie mindset. Oh, the world of peace and all this stuff. These people don't want peace. Look at them. All the people that are screaming this and talking about it, they don't want a peace. They're the most vilest, meanest, nasty, most violent people that you see. It's like, you got the Grateful Dead. Used to be Grateful Dead, all hippies, dancing, Jerry Garcia and all this stuff. And next thing you know, they sitting there with the FU hat on and the tie-dye shirt, kicking back a couple of colors, ready to fight somebody, because they looked at them wrong, or they had the wrong hat on or the wrong shirt, or they liked the different music and they did it. These people have lost their mind, gentlemen, and the world has gone insane. I'm just going to say this. I mean, it is so bad. Well, we've been talking about it for decades, but now it's just like, I mean, everything, our basic science from, no males or females, we can't even tell the difference. And we can't even try to do anything about any of these types of things, say anything vocally, free speech, all of the things that we talked about. All the things we talked about that were coming, and everybody looked at us and they laughed and it's like, oh man, y'all just crazy conspiracy theorists. And it's like, no, look at it, really. I mean, everything from free speech. Look at free speech. Look at the way the world is. That new world order has continued to work, continue to go. And like you said, Joe, earlier, you were talking about like, hey, things are getting back on track. Yeah, we're gonna drain the swamp. We're gonna do the these cats continue on. This is a battle that's going to go on long, long after we're
That's
gone.
the thing. People don't understand. This is Hollywood. This is a soap opera being played out for you. But that's not. Those people don't make the decisions. There's people up above them that do it, or in the shadows.
That we don't even know their names. We don't even know these cats.
And they play us for fools. Well, and they play us for fools. Here. Let me. I'm going to dial it back just a little bit to the beginning of time, right? So, do you know that from a biblical perspective, there's only been two people that have ever done so good in the eyes of the Almighty that they don't have to wait to get in. They got translated immediately. One of them was Elijah. The other one was Moses. Now, Moses was an interesting cat, and I'll tell you why. Because let's remember that humanity was created in the image of God. So that means exactly what it means, that if we were to go and have the ability to confront the Almighty, he'd probably look a lot like us, right? And probably have a lot of similarities to us. Well, he knew that. And he made Adam, and he did a couple of things and tweaked it a little bit. But hey, the biggest thing was this cat's going to be free. Okay. So Adam and his progeny, they go down the line. And God sees a little while long down the road. Now, mind you, with God, it's like The Sims. So 5 years can go by in the blink of an eye for him because he works outside of the construct.
Right.
And
he's playing the ultimate. He's playing the ultimate video game.
Oh man, I mean, these guys need a little bit of guidance here. So I'm going to show this guy here how to do it. I'm going to show him how it's done. So we'll meet up on this mountain, and I'm going to give him a set of rules to go by because he's a pretty sharp dude, and he does. And it's the 10 Commandments. And they're pretty easy to follow. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at the 10 Commandments, you'll come to find that you're in compliance with it more than you're not. And the ones that you're not, if you do a little inward looking, you might come to find out that it's pretty easy to fix. And it's all really boils down to two things. You're either being selfish, right? Or not coming from a place of love. There's kind of two things about it, but normally it's being self-centered is one of the biggest issues confronting humanity. And a lot of it has to do with the programming of the last century. So you have to understand that Moses was so intelligent and so capable, if you think about it. Our modern day courts, our bankruptcy system, and a lot of the things that have governed society for thousands of years have their foundations in Mosaic law. And we may all not know what those things are. You got to read Leviticus and all that to kind of figure it out. But when you look at it, it's pretty damn complicated. So that's why God, there's 10 commandments. Just follow those 10 and you'll be good. So fast forward a couple thousand years later, humans aren't getting it. I'm going to go down there myself and I'm going to show them how it's done, right? So he goes down and Yeshua says, okay, you can't do the 10. So I got 2. And if you can just do these 2, holy crap, man, you guys will have it. We'll be good. Love each other and respect one another. Those are the only 2 things you got to do. If you do those, the 10 will fall in place and everybody will be okay. Yeah. And love God. Hey, love me, man. Because you know what? I brought you here. This is it. And you can have everything. This is a beautiful planet. You can have it all. Just follow those 2 things. Everything's going to be fine. So fast forward it to today and look at the state we're in. And all of it comes down to being self-centered. We certainly don't love each other. We certainly don't respect each other. And it shows in the fact that everybody is so damn divided because you can't have a conversation with somebody that is on the quote, other side. But what we fail to understand is we're being played for fools and we're being forced to identify. And I don't say forced because we all have free will. You can always say no, even with a gun held to your head. You can say, I don't consent. They may blow your brains out, but you didn't freaking consent and you had free will up to that last second. We can all do that, right? But you have to understand that it is all driven by those 2 things, a lack of respect and a lack of love. And if we just went back to that, holy crap. The problem is the control freaks don't want that because out of chaos, order. They are controlling us through the chaos. And that's all of it. And all we have to do, the solution is nothing. You don't do a damn thing. Sit on your hands. Don't do a damn thing. Just don't participate. Don't consent. The system collapses without us. It's that simple, you know?
Right.
But
and that's the thing.
How do you coordinate it? How do you do that?
I mean, look, this is part of the divide and conquer strategy that they've used for since the beginning of civilization. I mean, this is what control freaks and people who want to exert power over a population do. I mean, you've seen it in the Roman Empire. The Romans pitted factions of their own population against each other in order to what they're doing is essentially they're diverting everyone's anger towards each other instead of they don't want that anger focused at the real, the real people that are causing the problems. So they're creating all these divisive social issues and divisive things for people to bicker and talk about, right? And yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff does deserve discussion and whatnot, but in the general scheme of things, it's all a great big distraction because they want you to be mad at each other. They don't want you to be mad at them. They don't want the population as a whole. Yeah, they don't want the population as a whole to focus their anger, towards them because look, things are collapsing. Things are going down and things are not getting better and people's lives are hard right now and people are angry and they don't know where to vent their frustration.
I got a good one too while you're talking.
And they're just trying. But look at them. Look at how this has progressed through the historical line. I mean, think about it. Right. I mean, just think back when Hillary was running against Obama. Right now, remember all of that, and McCain was running and ended up running against Obama. Start with now, you had the right and the left then, and I'm going to use this as far as that divide and conquer. Now, you didn't have people out there attacking each other physically, brutally, violently. Look how this thing has progressed just in the last couple of decades. I mean, it has gotten to where, like, what people are getting kicked out because they get a Trump hat on. People getting attacked because they got this sign in the yard. I mean,
look, we're at the point now where
instead of just having that conversation, and like you were saying, Joe, like, okay, everybody's different, got different opinions and stuff, but it used to be you could have those different opinions and talk to each other, but great time of day. Now it's just like you got to watch yourself out there, what you say, what your opinions are. I mean, you better be packing, something, because these people are going to want to kill you, hurt you, get you fired.
We've had
make you lose your
two
job.
assassination,
I mean, it's crazy.
Two assassination attempts in 2 months. So that tells you, the state of where we're at. We're like people are just on the edge. Like
they're at their breaking
point. A lot of people they're at their breaking
point.
And
the media is okay with it. They don't care. It's just like
the media's fueling it. They're feeding it, man. Yeah.
So check this out. Study finds what they do is they kind of aggregate all of the peer-reviewed studies that are going on. This being one of the latest ones to come out. American breaking point, 41% say they're at peak stress as of this time. I can understand it. I get it. Says in a year marked by financial worries and political tension, a new survey has uncovered the staggering impact of stress on everyday Americans. The American person feels their head spinning from stress a whopping 156 times per year, translating to about 3 times a week. So this alarming statistic is one of many eye-opening finds from a study conducted by Talker Research for Traditional Medicinals. Now, this study polled 2,000 people. 41% of the respondents are at their peak stress. And even more concerning, Americans say they're experiencing brain fog with the same frequencies as stress headaches 3 times a week. While 30% of those surveyed remain hopeful that their stress levels will decrease by year's end, a quarter fears their stress might actually increase. And despite these high stress levels, a surprising 45% of respondents have never taken a mental health day or a sick day from whole work solely due to stress. So what does that mean? You can take a look at this article, but they tell you 38% of the surveyed participants believe 2024 was higher in stress than 23, but less stressful than 22 and prior years.
A mental health.
A
A
mental
mental
health
health.
day, yes. Yes, take a mental health day because that pays the bills, you see. Yes.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
I've been hearing about this for a while too. The mental health day. It's like now I understand things are stressful, but it's because of the way they're making it. It
Well,
doesn't
Yeah.
need to be
it's
so stressful like this. To
Yeah.
where I've had my work too. These people talking about, yeah, I'm going to take a
See, that
mental
lady,
health
that
a
lady's
stress
stressful.
day,
She's stressed. That
and
lady's
I'm
look,
stressed.
sitting here thinking like,
these
what?
are the same people. You know, this is the same thing of why they have what is it, safe rooms where you can go in and
Yes.
cry
Yeah.
if you're
Mhm.
feeling a little
Get some
down or
Play-Doh. Get
whatever.
some Play-Doh
So
and play with
they're
that.
go take a mental health day if you need to
So,
recalibrate because Jimmy in the office might have said something a little abrasive and
yeah, it says
got you a
Americans
little
also
worked up.
noted they noted various signs that revealed stress, including trouble sleeping, irritability, fatigue, headaches, and feeling worried or paranoid. So, to combat stress, many turn to music or seek comfort in favorite TV shows and movies. Some find solace in snacking.
I would need about 365 days a year off if it was all of that stress,
I'm telling you, man.
fatigue.
Right.
Somebody didn't tick me off, said something that
Can I
triggered
take a stress
me.
year or two or
Exactly. I need a
three or
stress year.
something? Yeah, I need a stress.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, for real though, I mean, seriously, like, it is true though. Like, most people are living paycheck to paycheck, and that's
Yeah.
just stressful in
It's
itself.
yeah,
You
it's
know
a
what I
straight
mean?
up fact.
And because I mean, you're like literally one or two paychecks
or
away
even
from
or
just
even
being
less. Or
homeless,
even
or
less.
How
you're
can
right,
you? Let me ask you
and
something. Okay, Hartford, Connecticut. Many people don't know the capital of Connecticut. However, there are a few nice sections, and then it's like post World War II Germany for the rest of it.
I lived in
And
Middletown for about a couple of years in
and
Middletown, Connecticut.
Middletown's decent, right?
Mhm.
But Hartford, a one bedroom, one bath apartment in Hartford right now, in not even a good part of town, 1125. So if you take that, now that's a major population center. That's one of Connecticut's major population centers, and um, the prices are basically for Western Mass down to Hartford. They're basically about the same. How can a family of four or five, that make $60,000 a year, pay $3,000 a month for an apartment, or a mortgage or anything? They can't, and so it ends up adding the stress, and it ends up making a huge issue in so many different ways. I mean, I've been in this now. I rent, and I've been in the
well,
same
yeah, and
house
look,
now for
people.
about 7 years. Right?
Mm,
Just hear me out.
yeah, yeah,
And for the first 6 years, I didn't have a rent increase for 6 years. Why? Because I went in, I started paying a lot. Now it's cheap compared to what they want now for a house of this size. And I can't get over it. I mean, so somebody now that wants to try to better themselves, like say for us, we want to downsize a little bit. I'm going to downsize and pay a lot more, and there's no escape. You're stuck,
right,
as a lot of people are. That adds to stress,
right,
and
and
I could make $200,000 a year. It's still going to be a problem. You know what I mean? It's still going to be a problem, and that's what
I
a
could,
lot of
I could,
people
I
are
could
facing.
move out of my house and actually charge like 2.5 times more to rent my house out than I'm paying for the mortgage that I can't afford, and do that if I want to go live in my car. I mean,
Right,
that's
and
how
then
that's
but at
how
least you
insane it
pay for
is.
your house. Did you pay for your house? Get this though. So I've been doing a little. Some of the big things people are doing to do that. They say, well, tiny homes. I mean, yes, that's a solution. Don't get me wrong. It is. You could make a container house, for example, for a fraction of the cost of one that's built a stick built house. I'm looking at trailers because, to tell you the truth, have you looked at like a 42-foot travel trailer, dude? Decked out. They make 3-bedroom, 2-bath freaking travel trailers. $60,000. And it gets everything. It's got everything, and it's beautiful. Beautiful.
I don't know
But,
how.
you know,
I don't know how.
Andrew,
I don't know how
it's
I
like,
would pack everybody in that. So that would be my
no,
issue.
but,
It's like,
you know, it's like
I'm gonna
Ann said,
pack all these kids and dogs,
this is,
5 dogs,
no,
chickens,
you can't do it. I
cats,
know.
and
I can't do it.
you know,
Chickens. Where are you going to put the chickens?
we put them in the
Dude,
back room.
I got to see if I can find this thing. Some of these travel trailers are just incredible to where, like, they've got porches with ceiling fans on the back and a wet bar. And I'm like, get out until a
Yeah,
hurricane
there's some
comes.
nice ones there.
Until a hurricane
If we were a
comes.
smaller crew, that would be perfect. But
Right.
yeah,
That'd be the
We got a
life.
minute. We got a minute before break, Joe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, thank you very much. Hey, let's roll through the break, shall we? Here.
Oh, okay.
Let's roll through the break.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Did you know 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? If you struggle with focus, run low on energy, or when it's time to finally sleep, you simply can't, this can all be linked to dehydration, and Fuel Up has the answer. Our proprietary formula contains the finest cellular hydration with the strongest immune-enhancing natural ingredients. The Fuel Up system is made up of 3 different incredibly tasting varieties. Wake kickstarts your day with a jolt of caffeine. Play boosts focus while hydrating your cells. Rest not only helps you relax, but also rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. Here's what our clients have to say.
I really don't miss my coffee, and you can tell the difference.
So I'm gonna take it for the energy. I'm gonna take it for the play. I'm gonna take it, all day.
And it works. That's the thing. It works. We love it.
Take the Fuel Up Challenge now, where we offer a feel the difference money back guarantee. Fuel Up for life.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
Well, it's hour number 2 of the Freedom Link, and we were having such a great conversation before we got steamrolled right into break, which is fine by me because it's, hey, whatever. We got to pay the bills. So, Johnny in the chat brought up a great point. Bridgeport, Connecticut just they've turned off the power to the tiny homes there. Even if you wanted to do it, where do you go? Where do you go? If you're not hooked up to the utilities, why, gosh, we're going to condemn you. Even though we talk about, well, Green New Deal, and we want to rid ourselves of the fossil fuels, and then you go do it. Okay, shitty, I'm going to go ahead and put solar panels on my house. That's great. But you better have that power line hooked up to your house, boy. You're gonna
Where
have to
them
have.
solar panels getting made from?
Yeah, it don't matter now.
What's the energy that's making those
What are you
from?
talking about?
Well, I don't think solar panels are making solar panels. You
No,
know, wind energy.
no, but
Wind energy is not making wind energy. You
Self-replicating
know,
solar
so
panels.
even if you wanted to, okay, so you have these guys, right? Okay, Elon Musk, right? One of his new companies is Boxable. It is an unbelievable modular home. If any matter of fact, while we're talking, I'm going to pull up the video for it because these are revolutionary ways that are going to kick the powers that shouldn't be in the stones or have the ability to do it. The problem that you have is a system that won't allow it because you have these powerful interests that are really about control and self-serving themselves. Basically, that's what it is. Again,
Right, and it's
all
interesting,
of
like
our
you said,
issues are
the
like that. It all comes
yeah,
down to
and
that.
it's sort of the the paradoxical or hypocritical sort of nature, like you
Yep.
said, right, where it's like they want to be all green and people not using so much energy and all of this stuff. And so when you decide, well, okay, I'm just going to completely get off the grid and I'm not going to use the energy and I'm not going to, but then all of a sudden it becomes a problem. So it's like, well, which one is it? Do you want people to live sustainably
That's right.
and like truly sustainably, not the BS sustainability that they use, for their things because they're like, wait, this is sustainable.
Well, I want to show you guys. I got to show you guys. This is something.
It's pretty
This is a
cool though.
system. This is a system that's going to kick them in the stones because there was such an issue with these tiny homes and everything else, and people are doing it. Why? To go and save money and be able to live their lives being self-sufficient. So they try to knock you out like that. Well, now Elon Musk has put his hat in the ring, and his company Boxable is selling these modular homes that can be mass produced to bring down the cost. And I'm going to go through it a little bit here just so you guys can see it. And you can go to boxable.com if you want to see some more. But there's $60,000. And of course, the price is subject to change. It says right here, right?
And these people don't got
for a
kids.
single person or a couple. I mean, it's perfect.
But
Right,
you can,
exactly.
but they're gonna have modules that actually, like if you
Right.
take containers, right, and you put four together, hey, you make a
Yeah, it's
two-story
modular,
home.
so you can just like build them like Lego blocks and make them as big
So
as you
this is
want.
the
basically.
casita. Now let's see what that is. This is their first product. So I'm kind of interested to see it, just to see like what it's all about. And this is a tiny home. I wouldn't say tiny, but it's small, right? Looks like a little
Right.
one-bedroom setup, but it's got everything you need, and it comes with
Hell,
appliances.
it's bigger than
and
most
everything else.
apartments that you would find in New York or LA
That's
or
right.
anything like that. It's way bigger, so
Yep. So that's it. Let's see. Check it out. This is like pictures of the bedroom, or maybe even like a studio type setup. I want to see if there's. I know they have other developments. Let's see what that is. They have. Oh, look at that. See, now this is a mass-produced type of home. Now they have other things. I know they have other models that they're working on where they
right.
put them together so that you have a bigger model. And it's all about the ability to mass produce it in such a fashion that you can knock out, say, a house in 45 minutes, that you get it down to that kind of efficiency.
And the way it folds down like that, I mean, it makes it extremely portable. You don't have to worry about like some oversized load with a gigantic house rolling down the road or anything like that.
Who installs it?
You said it was like about 60 G's for that?
60 G's.
Yeah.
No, see, all them billions they spend on like the homeless and everything, like California, billions of dollars in homeless situation. These things look perfect. I mean, absolutely something that you could put together for all the homeless people out there, veterans out there who are homeless.
think about this now. So what you're saying is, for basically what we spend in war, you could give a house to anybody that needs it, and do so
Yeah.
affordably.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where are we going wrong? See, that's the problem when you start looking at the model that's out there. And you could call me whatever you want. I don't care. See, that's the thing about being an independent mind and not having an identity crisis as far as, "Well, I'm a Republican, damn it," or "I'm a Trump supporter," or "I'm a this or that." It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm just Joe. That's all I am. And that gives me exceptional clarity into certain things. One of them being where society often you can kind of see the way things are manipulated and why they're manipulated. And anybody that has to spend $400,000 that they don't have for really what amounts to a fixer upper these days, or they're just getting ripped the hell off, you know, uh, you're not going to be a successful nation or one that can get ahead because you're always coming from behind. When my grandfather built and bought his house, it was $4,000. And relative to his family income, it wasn't as burdensome as it would be today for somebody like that. For example, house insurance,
Right. Well, and because the value of a dollar went way more back
property
then, and
tax,
and
right?
and not only that, right? And yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that, and that there leads another thing. 1955. If you compare 1955 to 2015, for one of my research papers when I got my degree, that was one of the things I had to do. I took 1955 and I compared it to 2015. And what I did is I compared certain jobs that you could have like similarity or a very, very similar skill set for both. And so I
Right.
used a cashier, right? Because cashiers basically do the same thing that they did
Yeah,
in
nothing's really
1955.
changed from
Nothing's really
that. Yeah,
changed.
yeah,
Only they probably needed to know how to make change a little more, but they all had cash registers still, and everything
yeah.
was done pretty much similar, and nothing's really changed there except technology. So in 2015, the average Walmart cashier was making, I want to say, $8.80 an hour. And now, of course, we've had a lot of change since 2015, where you've had minimum $20 an hour here. You've had state laws kick in that have really boosted the minimum wage, especially in the blue states. That tends to happen a lot more. So in Massachusetts, uh, it's not $20 an hour, but it is certainly not $8.80 anymore. But $8.80 is what they made an hour. If you accounted for inflation and all of the cost of living changes, the cashier in 1955 was making $38 an hour, the equivalent. So his money went and had the power of $38 an hour in 2015 money. So a cashier could buy a house. They had the purchasing power. They had the purchasing power to have a car. They had more
Right.
flexibility to do things, right? They could put away for their retirement. They could put away for their college degree for their kids. They also lived in a much less regulated environment. So, in that sense, you didn't have the burdensome tax structure that you have today. You didn't have health insurance. Health insurance did not exist the way it does today, where it's a multi-billion-dollar money-making industry. It's not about your health anymore. It's about making money. So human life and health doesn't matter. Real science doesn't matter if it doesn't make money. That's the
Right.
that's the the tough truth to swallow, because oftentimes it runs counter to your experiences at the doctor. The only problem is more people are having more of a problem more of the time than they did in the past. But a lot of people don't take into account the input and how things have changed in their environment. In 1955, you weren't being saturated with RF energy. That wasn't happening. Today, frequency hits us like crazy. And we're
Right. And in
radiating ourselves. We're cooking
1955,
ourselves.
the population wasn't consuming as much processed junk and foods.
Correct.
And right, I mean, they just weren't being exposed to
but-
as much stuff.
But you had DDT. And
Oh,
you
of
had-
course. Well,
but you
yeah.
had-
I mean, yeah.
there
yeah.
were
But, I
different
mean,
things that had
there were different things. I mean, you had asbestos, you had DDT. There was they had their own things to deal with. But I would say, as a whole, our country has gotten a lot less healthy as the years
Absolutely,
have went by.
right? So we've added all this burden, is what I'm trying to say. So you had you had a person that didn't have near the burden that the human U.S. citizen today shoulders, and and of course it reflects in a lot of ways. Population growth. You have to have the immigration. You have to have the immigration. You're not producing babies, so if you're not making babies, you got to have humans come in somehow, some way, if your economy is going to stay afloat. That's the problem. The other thing is that people aren't being told is this population issue is a huge issue globally. The only problem is the United States has a little flexibility where a lot of first world countries do not. And if you go there, there's a lot of legislation being put forward, laws being put into place, incentivizing women having kids, family. Because
the population issue is really bad in
this is the last
Japan and
generation
South Korea.
for a lot of countries before you have major collapse because they can't pay for the old people, and there isn't enough to cover the needs, the labor needs. It's crazy. So
and it doesn't help whenever
you've
brainwashed the population into thinking that having a family is bad and that having kids are bad, and
but why is that? So that speaks to something, though. That speaks to the fact that obviously there's an agenda. Why is there an agenda to reduce the population of certain subsets of individuals and cultures? What's going on there? There's more to it, is what I'm trying to say. And it's all being governed by people, not the president of the United States, not the leader of the UN. None of those people, they're all just selfish figureheads. That's all they are. When you go to the polls, one of the most powerful things I think you could do is put, that there's a NA. None of the above. Just make none of the above a ballot choice on there, and see what that comes out as. If there was real honesty,
vote of no confidence,
a vote of no confidence, right? So that you can quantify that, because that's really what it's all about. You have shit and you have shit, and the output's going to be shit. and it doesn't. And I'm not speaking to the individual either.
Right.
Be honest with you. Each person is going to have their problems that they're going to have to face. And there's going to be things and situations where one is going to perform better than the other. I mean, that's the truth of the story. You've got so many crises going on, coming from so many different directions, that, and we're all human, and everybody is as unique as a fingerprint. So their solutions, their reactions, their ability to handle the situations are going to be unique. Who do you want in that place? Well, I'm going to be frank. I don't want any of them in that place. I mean, I don't think any of them have the ability to be able to handle what's going to be thrown at them. Yeah, I'll give you an example. Trump.
But
right?
but okay.
I'm going to give you an example.
But
Trump,
you got to look at it. Okay. what's going to be thrown at them out of the two. I mean, come on, Camilla.
No. I don't think any of them are going to be okay because of
I
the
mean, but it's not. It's not. It's not
circumstances.
about that. Just out of the two, just out of the two, which out of the two that you feel that can handle this? I'm not asking you to do the two of less evil kind of thing, but no, just your
I can't.
opinion. You cannot. I mean, you really would say that. Oh, okay, Camilla would do a better job, or Trump would do a better job at the situations of the future that's coming into play. And you mean to tell me that you can't say either one of them is going to
You
do a job? You got to pick. You
you
got to pick
you
one. You have no choice in
because
the
you
matter
can't.
here.
You well, here's okay. I'm going to tell you how I'm thinking. I'm going to tell you how I'm thinking. Trump gets elected. The things he's going to face isn't just world events, right? They're going to try to kill him again. They're going to stifle him down in court. They're going to use lawfare like it's never been done before. And they're going to keep finding interesting ways for him to not be able to do what he wants to do. Then you have Camilla, who is going to have a divided Congress. Anybody's going to have a divided Congress. It's going to be split again. And when it is, they're not going to have you're going to have somebody that's going to have to be able to work both ways. She ain't one of them. But student debt, there's another ticking time bomb, $1.7 trillion right now. And it's all because kids and parents have been basically held at the point of a gun and had to pay egregious fees and tuitions and things like that just to be able to get a job to be subservient to the government for years on end afterwards. And I think it's absolute insanity. That's why in 1953, when the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare was created, we were number one in the world in science, math, and literature, or English, right? And if you go today, we're 33rd in the world in science, we're 37th in the world in math, and we're 28th in the world in literacy, and we're dropping like a rock. And it's because when you put a price on education and you put a price on the things that are most important to help your country grow, you got nothing. You got nothing. It's unattainable for so many. And so something has to be done about that. And I don't think that there's enough compassion out there to be able to, and enough, let's say, creativity to be able to handle that. I think,
Well, like we were just talking, Joe.
yeah,
60,000 per unit
yep,
for each one of those units, right?
yep,
Okay, so in 2023, there was 653,104 people that experienced homelessness in the United States on a single night. Let's just
yeah.
say they were all homeless all the time,
And you
right?
think that
Okay,
number's accurate? I'll bet you it's a
and
lot
you take
higher.
that $60,000 per unit. Now, this is very simple stuff. I'm not
Yeah.
I didn't go to Yale or Harvard or
Wait a
anything,
minute.
but
Wait a minute.
that,
This
that's
isn't
30,
Schrodinger's cat.
it's
This
30,
isn't
30,
Schrodinger's cat, bro.
no, 39,186,240. Uh, uh,
How much?
39,186,240
So you're
thousand
saying
to give each one of those people one of those $60,000 homes.
you're
Now,
saying for half
if
the
you
price of what we gave Ukraine last year?
exactly, and what do we give Ukraine? What the other year? It's 175 billion. You
Oh,
know, 175 billion just that one time that was approved.
and that's on top of paying for the aircraft carriers and the airplanes
And that
and the
weird dock
military.
thing that fell in the ocean and all that stuff. Right, exactly. So we
Oh,
could give each, and that's just on a single night. So that ain't people who are permanently homeless. But I'm sitting there thinking like, wow. I mean, I
oh
think,
yeah.
and look at California and how much billions of dollars they spend on the homeless crisis and all the things they do. And it's just like,
Uh-huh.
where's
Uh-huh.
all this money going? Boom, 60
Corrupt.
G's per pop. You got to put them out there. Everybody's got a home right there, and
Yep.
that's just on the bill alone. Everybody's got a place to live.
That's right.
Boom.
Did
But
you
here's
know
the
there was a
problem: is the problems. They don't want to solve these problems.
No, but that's okay. So that's what makes a Trump presidency, in my humble opinion, the better or the least of the evils, because that's not his mindset. So, but that's somebody like a Kamala, going to go down that road. It's going to be like that because it's more of a communist thing. She's talking about price caps or regulation on your grocery prices and everything. It's going to be like World War II rationing. If you go down that road, there's no way to avoid it because of simple. That's the problem. If you don't know economics, and guess what? Economics is economics. You can't. It's like math. There's some things that you just can't change.
Exactly. It's like fuel. If we are sitting here purchasing all
Supply
this
and
fuel
demand
for
is
everybody,
supply
if
and
we're
demand.
purchasing fuel to transport these goods around, and the more the fuel costs, the more the energy costs, the more everything costs to
That's right.
manufacture things, transport things, and then on top
Competition
of
is
that to be
pivotal.
sold. And that's, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm not an economist. I know nothing really about it, but
You don't have
just
to be.
a common sense
Yeah.
says like, okay, if gas
Right.
costs more, that means it's going and energy costs more. It's going to cost more to make these products and get these products and the things they need to make these products. Then they got to ship the products. Then they got to go and sell the products to these places. It's just like, yeah, that it totally. Yeah, back to the math once again. I think that's the problem, Joe. The school system, the education system has dumbed everybody down so much that common sense is out the door, and
I
It's
nothing makes
common
also
sense to
core.
want
people.
Now it's common core, not common
I
sense.
right.
Hmm.
I also need to point out, and I think this is where a lot of people are kind of like they're blind. They're blindsided by this, or they're not paying attention. Kamala is not stupid. She's not a
No,
dumb
she's not.
person.
No, no, no.
And look, people are like, oh man, she's just like a drunk
Bush did it
wino
too.
mom.
Bush
Right?
played the
Yes,
same
yes.
card, and
I
he
was
was
just
not dumb
yes.
either.
Right. She's pulling a Bush, playing dumb, looking stupid, so
I
everybody
don't even
kind of
think
just goes,
it's just
oh,
who she is. It's
well,
just
nah.
part of her
She
personality.
she's got
She's worked it into
she's
it.
got
It's
a
part of her
quote.
identity.
Yeah, she's got a quote that she always says every time at her rallies, and it's something like the past, something about the past. Basically, like I don't know the exact quote, but essentially it means like we need to shrug off the past in order to bring in the future, or something weird like that. I don't know. You'll have to look it up or whatever. But that quote is a direct quote from like Marxist writing. So and a lot of people, if you're not wiser to it, or you don't understand a lot of this stuff, you just go, oh, that's a neat little quote she's saying or something,
Oh
but
yeah,
it
yeah. I
really
know what you
has
mean.
deep
It's got deep
deep
ties
meaning.
to.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and if you look into her father was like a post Keynesian
Oh
economic
yeah. Yeah.
professor or something like
Yeah.
that.
Very,
So to
very, very pro
say,
Keynesian.
yeah, so to say,
But let me
uh,
ask you this. Okay, so from that standpoint, the debt. Okay, it's costing us $1 trillion just to pay the interest right now on the national debt at current interest rates, which is why the Fed has to bring down interest rates because it's killing the national debt's running away. It's off to the races, man. That ladder now is starting to go like this. So the only way they can reduce that trajectory is by bringing down interest rates, but they do so knowing the immediate risk is going to be the interest rates are going to take off because as soon as you make money cheap again and you have all of this in circulation, it's off to the races with interest. So now you're back to your 70s, maybe worse, stagflation type of situation, which is very hard to get out of. And to me, just judging by historical standard, what they're doing, there's no stopping it if they keep going on this current path. I don't understand unless things have changed to the point where maybe it. I don't know. I'm not an economist either, but
Right.
And things have been acting very weird in the economy realm, where even the
We need to
economists
make
are like,
some
we don't
money.
get it,
We need to
right?
make some money, Joe.
Yeah, yeah,
The country needs to make some money instead
yeah.
of borrowing that Federal Reserve. I mean, we talked about
Big
that whole thing,
problems.
and it's like, yeah, they print a dollar with interest, right? And you can never pay it back because they got to print more to be able to pay
Yeah.
back that. So it's like, I don't think it could
But what does it
ever
matter? Let me
be
ask you
paid
something.
back.
What does it matter? What does it matter? Just numbers. What does it
Or
matter?
now, and it's not going to be even the green. It's just digits now on the computer screen.
I mean, it doesn't matter because they're still borrowing with impunity, and they've made bricks, and they've done everything in all of our countries. Now, I could see if we were just we had runaway debt, and it was just us, but it's like everybody, man. They're all having. Everybody has debt issues.
And yeah, who's
So
on top of the game?
so
Who's
who
actually
that
paid all that? Has
Yeah,
paid
yeah.
all of
Who
their
pays
debt?
back who? And
Who's paid all
but what
their
does it
debt? And who is
matter?
sitting there with the
right.
big pile of money?
Exactly. But I mean, like at the end of the day, that's just a number, and that's the way they're treating it now.
Right, like
The
if
real
they came
truth is,
out,
I
yeah, if
know
they
it's
came out
not.
yesterday or if they came out tomorrow and said, "Hey, there's no more debt or whatever," does that magically change the situation like at that moment or whatever?
I guess I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
okay.
you could.
So who's the debt to?
So
Right? Who owns the debt? Well, if you look at it, Social Security Trust Fund is one of the biggest holders of debt.
Ponzi scheme.
That's who owns the
Ponzi
debt, the
scheme.
American
That's what
people.
that thing is.
It really is. I think out of the $35 trillion in debt right now, which is the national debt, we own like 26 trillion of it. Only $8 trillion out of that overseas investors. What if we just said,
What are you
screw
gonna
you?
do? What are you gonna do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like, look at what's
yeah,
going
that's
on
another
right
thing.
now in Russia. Look what's going on with
who's
Russia.
to say? Who's to say we're never going to pay that back?
Yeah.
What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it?
We gonna wipe it. We gonna wipe it clean. We don't argue
We'll
anything.
wipe it clean ourselves.
Matter of fact,
we
we're just
we don't know it no more.
We're just
We'll
gonna
sign
have
the
us a
paper.
jubilee.
We'll sign the paper and go like, yeah, we don't owe you nothing, man. What y'all talking about?
Right?
But of course, as we know throughout history, though, right? Like,
yeah,
economic wars usually lead to hot wars, and
but that's already there. I mean, look at now.
Right,
okay, so
we're already
there. So we had an economic war. We started sanctioning Russia for doing what they did, and as far as I can tell, we're trying like hell to get a war. We want a war. I mean, look at the propaganda. Russia bad. Russia do this. Russia go in. Russia. If you take a look at it, it's a lot more complex than just that, right?
War always gives you an opportunity to ramp up the production, get the economy flowing again. And
so there's a great. Wait a minute. Now there's a great thing. There was all you see. U.S. Navy. Of course, I was a sailor, so I'm going to be a little prejudiced to the U.S. Navy news, right? I was a frigate sailor. They decommissioned all of the Oliver Hazard Perry class. They have no frigates. They have these shitty littoral combat ships that, quite frankly, couldn't do what the Perry class could do. And it's bad. It's really bad when you start thinking about sea power and the importance of being able to, in times of conflict, be able to control the sea. Because if you can control the sea, then you control the movement of goods, and that's huge.
Right.
And you want to make sure that continues to flow. Frigates are a very important part of that because they're a cheap way of being able to support your maritime ship, your tankers, your all of your stuff, your cargo ships. They're great escorts for it, and they're cheap to do it. So this littoral combat ship, it was plagued with problems because they take a design that already existed and they changed it about 52 times up to the point when they laid the first one down. And it had nothing but problems because they keep adding these things on and on and on. And since the Arleigh Burke class destroyers, we haven't had a class of ship that hasn't been plagued with all sorts of issues. So now they have the new Constitution class coming along for the frigates. It's the new frigates, and it's an Italian design, and they're bastardizing the hell out of it. But it also exposed another problem. The industrial complex or the industrial base for shipbuilding has basically collapsed. We have 40% of our sub fleet right now is not available because it's in some sort of maintenance need that can't be supported by the current structure, because you've had big companies buy up the little companies to now where you just have these major shipyard facilities, but they're very limited in their ability to take in X amount of ships. They can only work on so much at so much at a time. All of the independent little shipyards are gone. They've all been eaten up. And it's eroded the ability for us to be able to maintain a fleet, let alone expand it or replace aged ships that are now needing to be decommissioned. So we have a serious problem. The Ford class carriers are in terrible shape. They've gone over budget by double to where it's $13.9 billion an aircraft carrier. But guess what? Half the time, the damn magnetic catapults don't work. It's plagued by issues with its elevators. It's had all sorts of issues with the shafts and things like that. It's just an engineering nightmare. The ability to have enough people to do the trades stuff in the building of these ships, they're all gone. They're all gone. They're all retiring. We pushed 4-year degrees so hard, the prior generations, that now you have no tradesmen.
I
It's
wish,
a
I
huge,
wish, I
huge
wish
problem.
I hadn't did no college. I wish I would. Oh, photography. Yeah,
You and me both.
old film photography too. That was before the digital age. Oh yeah, I'm gonna major in photography and be a photographer. Yeah, well, see how that worked out. Film
Yeah.
photography, gone. Bye bye.
See you
I
later.
mean, that's an alternative process now. It's like, yeah, I remember my grandfather telling me, it's like, oh, I got this guy. He'll intern you doing electronics. I look back on that and I'm like, man,
I
why
had to
didn't I
fall back
do
on that.
that?
I had to
Why
fall
didn't I
back.
do that?
I had to fall back on my Navy, being an electrician. And that has been more valuable to me.
Plumbers, electricians, roofer,
Carpenters,
construction
yep.
worker, mechanics,
Welders,
welders,
crane
exactly.
operators. There's none left. I mean, and the ones that are there that are upcoming, I mean, there's a big gap in between. That's the problem, and we're in that gap.
You know what
So
also is a problem?
what's that?
Is during the lockdown, a lot of these people that had to do the trades or whatever had to just kind of wing it online or whatever with online classes or take a
Oh, right.
thing or
I
whatever.
mean, that's
And
crazy.
and then now so you have an influx of like younger people in the workforce that technically have the know-how supposedly to
Yeah,
do,
but
but
they
when
don't.
they get into
That's
a
a
real
China thing
workforce
too.
situation,
Oh, I got to show you guys
it
this.
doesn't work out so well because they're having a lot of problems with this at where my dad works. He says we're getting this influx of younger kids that are coming in, welders and stuff, and they really don't know what they're doing,
I
even
got
though
to
they
show you.
technically
We are fast becoming.
should, know a little
Well,
more than what they're
yeah,
actually able to
look
do.
at computer programming.
Yep.
AI is going to be doing the computer program. Everybody went out and got all the computer programming, learning all of that. Also, I mean, it's like you would think like, hey, it had its time. It had
Okay,
its
so
time.
I got to bring this up because we're going to run out of time. This is going to go fast, but this is another thing. So we have a problem right now from a capacity and a labor standpoint. China has capacity and labor all day long, right? They don't have the know-how per se. They have it
Know-how
on.
or the
They have it on.
quality or
They have it on paper.
yeah,
They have it on
right.
paper, but it ain't real. And then when it produces a product, you get this. And this is the newest Chinese class, the Zhao class, I think it's called. It is their premier first of the class nuclear attack submarine. It sank at the pier. Sank at the pier. It happened in May,
Wow.
and they're only now. They're not even admitting it now. But you see here, this is where it sank. That's the shipyard. It's got a swimming pool. It's got other things there too. I don't know. A ship that is the nicest shipyard. If it's a shipyard, dude, that has to be the nicest shipyard I've ever seen. It's got to be some sort of military base. So let's just say it's at a military base at the pier. It sank at the pier. Now, just me thinking about it being a sailor, right? That didn't happen because somebody left a valve open. There's something bad had to happen for that to sink like that.
Well, maybe so. It's brand new. It's brand new. It's
brand
new. 2024.
I mean, like,
if your submarine sinks,
smell on it.
Yeah, if your ships and submarines gonna sink in the water, man, there's something going on.
Yeah, Zao class. So I watched a couple of things. H.I. Sutton, I think his name is, or he's a YouTuber. He does great chats on submarine using open source material and on other ships, but he's a naval historian. And he was talking about the Chinese submarines and their capability and how, engineering wise, boy, it looks good on paper, but there's always a question about performance because it's like everything China builds, it just goes to shit almost immediately. You look at their buildings, they just crumble.
Right,
and it's all because every part of the process is corrupt.
Another example. Yes, yeah. And another example that just happened not too long ago is they tried to do a static fire of a rocket.
Yeah.
Right. You know, a static fire test where they just it doesn't take off and it's just locked to the ground. Well, yeah, they were going to do a static fire test of one of their rockets, but it broke loose and it took off into the air, and then it landed by a village somewhere and blew up. Yes. So I mean, it just shows. Yeah, but look, this is part of this is what you get when you have like a communist regime like that, and they don't assign workers based off of merit. It kind of is the same as the DEI stuff, right? In a way,
exactly that.
It's exactly right. Yes. Because they're just throwing people into a job who don't even know what they're doing, and they're like, look, you're going to work on this nuclear sub now, and they're like, I don't know anything about nuclear sub. Well, don't worry about it, bucko,
that's right.
Trial by fire.
I guess you could say that you can't say China doesn't have smart people. Of course, they, like Johnny just said, China just made a machine with the power of the sun. They did. A fusion reactor for the first time, that made enough power to sustain a fusion reaction by itself, Oh, wow, that's great. Now, would I necessarily trust that nuclear reactor? I don't know. I mean, it just depends because, quite frankly, they have a history of failure when it comes to these big
China,
Russia's
they're
the same way.
Yeah, they're the masters of knockoff technology. They copy other people's technology, then they try it themselves, and it's a worse version of it that usually fails. They're never
because they
at
don't
the
have
top.
That engineering that went into it to know.
Yeah, they're never at the top of innovation. They're always playing catch up and doing the bare minimum to try to stay relevant.
Yeah. So then there's Russia, of course. Their Satan II missile blew up in the silo, and that was a big problem. So there's a crater over there in Russia. You can see it on the satellite, and you take a look at the quality of their stuff, and it has all sorts of issues that end up.
You might mute up, Ken.
I got you. That end up being a failure. And you take a look, and it's a lot of corruption. You have corruption within the whole structure. It's just built into it. So you look at the United States today, and the United States today is nothing but and sinking into that style of corruption, that it's being built into every process. Look at science. If you go against the system, these science they're blacklisted. Look at RFK for years and years and years, blacklisted. Vaccines are bad and this and that. He's not saying that all of them are bad, but he's saying, hey, look, if you're going to go into it, you got to be educated. You got to do this and that. And guess what?
It is actually...
Right?
It's actually wild to think about how many communist sort of pillars have already been established in this country. You know what I mean? It's really crazy to think about, right?
And
you know,
people
like
defend them. They defend them.
That's the wild thing.
I mean, it's nuts, man.
They're implementing these communistic sort of things, but they're just changing the names and you know, without blatantly calling it what it is, right? You know, DEI is basically the same style of hiring and workforce sort of implementation that China does. It's just they call it DEI here, diversity, equality, and inclusion. You know, it basically means we can hire whoever we want. They don't have to have a skill set or whatever. You know, it just as long as they meet the diversity quota, we'll be good. You know.
I got a question for Ken. All right, so call us late to the party, and I don't know if you've heard about this, but I hope you're not late to the party. But I am. Saw this video that Ange sent me on this book written in 1896 about Baron Trump. It's like this trilogy of Baron Trump stories. And in it, it talks about Trump being the last president, and his son, Baron, goes on these adventures in 1896.
This is a new book now. This wasn't written in 1896.
No,
yes, it was written.
No,
you haven't heard it.
We going woo. Yeah. We going woo up in here.
Okay. Yeah. We're gonna do it.
We're gonna take a woo up in here. No
All right,
way.
so I'm gonna play the first few minutes of this video, and I want everybody to check this out. If you go to this lady's channel, and she'll say the name of it in there. But you just trust me on this one. This is good stuff. I was skeptical. I'll be honest with you. I just
gotta put it. Gotta put the link. Gotta put a link for this.
Hold on. Baron Trump, 1896. Oh yeah, you sent me the link on Facebook. That's right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go to Facebook. That's what I'll do.
I think the book was called like The Adventures of Baron or something like that.
Yeah, it's something. It's just I'm still kind of like.
And it was. Just to clarify for me, this was written
in 1890.
The year 1890. Okay.
Give me 1 second. I'm going to share it with everybody right now.
This blew Joe's mind. I knew about this from back in the day because.
Welcome.
Here it is.
My name is Samantha. What I'm fixing to show you may be very disturbing to some of you. I ask that you listen to me all the way through because this is 100% true. It is not fake.
It's 18 minutes, the Baron Trump collection. And I'm going to play the first few minutes and you guys can finish it on your own.
There is a book written about Baron Trump, and his dad is the last president of the Republic of the United States. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Starkey Farmstead. There was a rumor going around that there had been a book written about a young boy named Baron Trump, whose dad becomes the last president of the United States, the Republic of the United States. This book was reported to have been written sometime in the 1800s. So as usual, me, Samantha, went digging. Not only did I find the book, I bought the book. And today we're going to deep dive for the first time into this book. I can tell you what I found out about the author, whose name was Ingersoll Lockwood. From everything I found, yes, he was a Christian. Yes, he had a lot of work in government, everywhere from embassies to even being over a prison at one point. Now, I will share more about the author further into the video, so you're not going to want to turn it off, guys, because this is all very important. The reason I find this interesting is because President Trump's son is named Baron. And we have all heard rumors, prophecies, and words given by people saying that President Trump will legitimately be America, the Republic, the United States of America, the constitutional republic's very last president, right? I mean, if you're a Christian, if you're living in this day and age, you've heard.
Hey, it was Trey Smith. he had a friend who was he passed away, but he was a prophet, and that was one of his things. Was he said it back in like 2010 that Donald Trump would be elected, and then all of a sudden he'd be like the last president. So it's not just these guys too; it's him. But you check this video out, and just because she reads you a little bit out of it, the audio book is available for free on YouTube, and you can listen. It's like 3 hours, but it was written in 1896,
and it's all talking about the aspects of 21st century political climate.
Yeah,
I mean, in Fifth Avenue in New York, I am blown away.
Oh, okay, man. All right. So there's that, right? Now, obviously, he's already had one term, and if he's elected again, that would be the last time he could be president, and plus he's getting up in age. So that would mean that if this is correct, that this would be the last administration, and you don't know if it's going to be 4 years. That's why I tell you that Trump is going to face a lot different stimuli that is going to be coming in his direction than would a Kamala Harris. So I think really the way it looks to be is if you want things to continue, it'll go south. It's going to suck, and it's going to continue. Vote for Kamala. But if you want things to blow up and go boom, and it's the end, and we're all like, damn, we're stressed out.
There you go, Ken. There you go, Ken. See?
No.
If you want to stop the collapse of the republic, you gotta vote for Kamala.
I want to be president and see the travels and adventures of little Barron Trump here.
Right. So now we know that if Trump wins, it's done. We're done. It's cooked. The goose is cooked. But does that mean the end is bad? Or is it a new beginning?
No, we going woo on this thing. I'm sorry, this is just crazy. Because the fact is, I was looking up as she's talking, I'm looking up the author, and I'm like, no, this cat was back there in the 1800s and stuff.
Yeah,
he was born and died and everything, and I'm like, and he wrote this book, and I mean, this is talking about like right now, the 21st century U.S. presidency, little Burns adventures and everything, and that's some insane stuff right there. I'm just thinking like.
I thought you liked it. Yeah, we had to bring a woo into this.
I won't even be able to sleep tonight. I'll be waking up in the middle of the night thinking about this right here.
I heard about this way back in 2016 when he was first running, and I believe it was our boy Kev that clued me into it, because of course it would be Kev that would
exactly.
Hey, so that's what I'm saying, baby. Bring it.
Because that's when I started hearing, it was back then I started hearing people were talking about, they're like, Barron Trump is a time traveler from the 1800s and all of this stuff. And I was like, what? What are you guys talking about? And I guess it all had to tie back to this book or something. I was like, man, that's crazy.
With everybody is stressed out, effed up, and messed up, and all the craziness that's happening right now, my only issue is, I'm going to listen to this. What does it predict as the end then? Or does it? I don't even know if it does. I'm going to find out. Because
what's Barron going to do on his adventures?
I don't know. I mean, hopefully he's able to go on an adventure. I want to get the book. Everything happens.
I want to get the book.
I know. So that's kind of the crazy woo shit we have for tonight. And I think, we definitely, that blew my mind when Ann showed me that. It was like, oh, Lordy, have mercy. So if you want life to continue the way it is, only devolving ever more into a shitty stagflationary environment, then I say that you vote for Kamala. But if you want things to come to an end and you want something of a new beginning, or maybe a hellacious end, I don't know how it's going to all pan out, but we won't have student loans anymore. Credit card debt, hell with that. And I'd say, let's just kind of go at it the way we should, which is let's just go off into the unknown.
Let's just get this done and over with. Rip the Band-Aid off.
That's what I'm saying. Rip the Band-Aid off. So that's
it says here It says the young fellow embarks on time traveling adventures through human history. Man, maybe.
So he
That,
does travel time. He is
Dude,
a time
there you go.
traveler.
not
There
to
you go.
mention, wait a minute, not to mention, you're telling me genetically speaking, he came from Donald Trump? Maybe he did. Maybe he did, but where does he get the height from? Where's that coming from? Have you seen, I don't know if you've seen Melania's parents, but they're not 6'7", but he is. Maybe he's Nephilim. Ooh. I wonder how many fingers and toes he's got. Oh, we got to check that. I'm going to go out and say, how?
Time to analyze the footage, Joe.
Okay, we don't have to go that woo, but I thought the book was
And
pretty
this,
damn
and I also remember something about the book and the whole time traveler aspect. I remember watching a whole video on this back in the day, and it was like one of those mind-blowing woo things. So you had the book, the time traveler aspect, and then it tied into the fact that like Trump's uncle was a member of the FBI that removed Tesla's papers from after he died, you know?
Oh
because
my
I mean
God.
that's a thing, right?
Where's Trump Tower at? What street is that?
What street is it on? It's like on, I don't want to say Fifth Avenue, but it's
Yeah, that's what it says. There are references to a hotel on Fifth Avenue, New York.
Yeah, there's
Like,
all
it's
kinds
the
of
descriptions
references
of
and
the
crazy stuff in there. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm looking. Hold on. Oh, I can't leave that one. Ooh, that would have been bad. You guys are killing me.
Oh, y'all
But
killing
yeah,
me.
man, I
Y'all
remember
killing
hearing
me
the thing
tonight
about
on this one. This was
'cause-
Fifth Avenue, 725 Fifth Avenue. Oh,
Yeah.
No way. No, it's not. No, it's
is.
not.
Yeah, it is.
Man, how is this? This is like the Pink Floyd and the Wizard of Oz thing. Putting
I
it together.
know.
Yeah,
know.
it's like that.
Trump Tower, 725 Fifth Avenue, New York, 10022.
That's insanity.
I'm sorry, bro. It is. 1896.
I'm gonna
We
get
had to
this
blow
book.
Ken's mind before the
I'm
show
gonna
ended.
definitely have to get this book and read and
Wonder if it. Wait. What if it's Barron Trump's autobiography and he went back in time to 1896 to write it?
Ooh.
That'd be pretty damn. That's some woo right there. I'm
And
telling
then
you,
somebody
we're gonna count
asked
his
him-
fingers and toes.
They should ask him when on the first interview. Somebody say, "Hey man, are you little Barron Trump in the wonderful world of travels?" That book. What?
Hey, he used the
about
time
that book?
machine that his uncle got from the schematics that they grabbed from Tesla's apartment, you know?
I mean,
so,
you just can't
there
make
you
that
go.
shit up. What a way to end it. So yeah,
I
we'll be
know.
back. We'll be back again next Saturday, 8 p.m. because this is crazy. So as long as I'm not stuck at the plant, I will be here. And then I'm going to read this. I'm going to either listen to it or I'm going to read it because that Fifth Avenue thing just really messed me up. I was getting over the whole thing, and I was like, okay, all right.
You pulled me in it now, man. You pulled
And
me
now,
up
and
with
then
that
he
one.
said the
You done
hotel
drug
thing.
Ken
and
into it.
I'm just messed up. You know, and instead I was going to get messed up. I was like, whatever. I'm messed up. This is Kev. I remember Kev saying something about this too. And I did the
Yes,
same
because
thing then.
I remember he's
Come
the one
on,
that...
time traveler, Kev. It's a red dragon all over again. Cut the shit. You know? And no, yeah.
No.
This is bad. This is bad and good and bad and good and bad. So, yeah, it's Kamala versus Trump. We have 6 weeks to go. The Israelis just took out Hamas's leadership in one night.
Boom.
And the Ayatollah is in hiding.
Oh.
So, I mean, like, and all I could think of, and I hear over and over again in my head is, and when Damascus falls, things are going to get bad, right? And here we are. It's like Syria's supplying them weapons. Oh, God, they're going to bomb Damascus. Oh, geez. And then we're going to be done, right? And then we got 1896.
Yep.
What a time to be alive, guys. What a time to be alive. I know I'm pretty stressed out. That says 41% of our American brothers and sisters. And with that, we're going to go now. So I hope you all don't sleep tonight and you're all as messed up as we are. And we'll see you next week, Saturday, 8 p.m.
Woo!
Oh, my God. Take it away, man. I'm out.